What I find is when people are buying an investment property, they use a lot of mental fuel in the decision to actually, will I or won't I buy one? And I kind of think of it like, you know, when a plane's on the tarmac and it's just about to take off, that moment where it leaves the tarmac and gets up to, say, 30,000 feet before it levels off, that's where the plane uses most of its fuel for that trip. And for a property investor, I think they use most fuel in that early sort of getting over mental paradigms of will I, won't I? I know someone who bought an investment property didn't go so well. My parents told me I should pay cash for everything. There's just all this mental stuff that needs to be sort of all the noise that needs to be overcome. So for me, that's the taking off bit. And then they use whatever energy is left over, trying to decipher all of the information that's left out there to, okay, I've decided and now I want to buy one. And so they use whatever, you know, they need to do to get that property purchased. And then once they've bought a property, it's kind of this relief. But ultimately, there's still a lot more work to be done. So for me, there's a few things that you need to think about. And the first one is, okay, you've just signed a contract. You're about to buy a really significant asset. You need to think about how you're going to protect it, how you're going to defend it. And essentially, you've got to be thinking about insurance. For me, start thinking about from the moment that the contract goes unconditional, you want to be insuring your position, even though you haven't settled on it yet. And whilst I don't want to give any insurance advice at all, you need to be thinking, if I'm buying a house, I want to insure the building. Typically, if I'm buying a strata titled property, the insurance of the building is generally covered through the body corporate. But also we need to be thinking about internally. Landlord's protection insurance for the stuff that's inside the property that's at risk if, say, it burns down in between you signing the contract and the property settling. So for me, the number one thing, as soon as you sign on the dotted line, you need to be thinking, how do I protect myself and get some insurance in place? And for me, there's a whole range of insurances that you can get, but you've got to find that sort of fine line between being adequately insured and not over-insuring. And that's really different for different people. Once you've thought about that, the next step is, well, if I've signed a conditional contract, say I haven't bought it at auction, for example, I bought it subject to finance, I bought it subject to building and pest, any other conditions, your next priority is to make sure those things can be satisfied. So arrange for a building and pest inspector to go out to the property, give them the selling agent's details so they can get through as soon as possible, so that you can read the report and have as much time to digest it all as quickly as you can. But you've got to remember, when you get a building report done, it's their job to tell you everything that's wrong with that property. So don't be overly discouraged by the minutiae of detail, because really what you want to do is find out a couple of things. Number one, is the structure sound? And if it's sound, that's a great thing. And is it riddled with pests? And if the answer is no to both of those, it's then just looking at the other things and seeing how material they are when it comes to whether or not you'd proceed or not. In some cases, you can use it as leverage to get a price discount on what you previously negotiated. But importantly, think of those two things. Is the structure okay? Is it riddled with pests? If the answer is no, you can move on. Equally, if it's subject to finance, be proactive with the person who's actually putting the finance together to make sure that they're methodically moving through the process. Because if you've got 2 weeks to get finance, you don't want them to be picking up your file on day 11 or day 12, because then they might just ask for an extension, which can be problematic, getting an extension with the agent, particularly in a fast-moving market where they've got other buyers stacked up. So don't undo all the good work that you did to jockey for position to buy it, only to undo all your good work through the condition period. So for me, the next priority once you've bought it is just to methodically work through the conditions that you need to satisfy on the contract. The third thing is then start thinking about the quantity surveyor's report. And that's essentially where you can maximise the depreciation that's allowed for your investment property. And you kind of think of that as bonus cash, because it's a non-cash deduction that you can put on your tax return that results in most cases in you getting a tax refund that you can put towards the cash flow of the property. And it's amazing how many investors still forget about this critical component. And you really need it prior to putting in your next tax return after buying the investment property. So you can buy it any time leading up to that. But for me, I always like to get it as soon as possible, because that feeling that you get when you see all the depreciation allowances that you can get is really an exciting part of the property investing process. And I know that makes me sound a little bit dorky, and I'm okay with that, because really property investing is about managing the numbers and managing the cash flow. The next step is then, well, okay.